Hey guys, so today we are going to talk a little bit about job availability and some stats that I found very interesting on Stack Overflow's report for 2018. So let's get into it. Now, their job statistics, I really felt that I needed to have an extra look at that because it kind of was in line with what I was suspecting. You see, I've been telling you that the job market is absolutely, like it's booming for us developers. It's absolutely horrible for the job providers or the employers, but for us, the job takers, it's absolutely amazing. So the statistic that that Stack Overflow were showing, or that they had gotten from their survey of all these, what I think it was 100,000 developers, was that 90% of all the developers were working at least part-time and 80% were working full-time. That is an enormous number. That's how many, it's an absolutely absurd number. And they also shown that most of these developers learned their coding skills within within the last 5 years. Who has been telling you this, guy? I told you, once you have a few years, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your education is. It doesn't matter who you are. The jobs are there. You just have to put in the time and actually get the education that is relevant and the skills that are relevant. And what's interesting, which I thought this was really interesting. I think they roughly 60 or 70% of all of these, like the developers who had taken the survey, said that they were not interested in, they were not actively looking for a new job, but they were open to hearing suggestions or to see what opportunities were out there. And what I think is very interesting about this is that means that what I've been which is, I can't really tell you things that are my gut feeling, because I don't want to give you things that are just my own gut. Sometimes I do, but I always try to make sure that I try to be very clear about what's my gut feeling and what's something that I actually know to be true. And you see, when you combine this fact with there were other statistics saying that most of the developers change jobs they roughly stay in one place for 2 years on average. Most of them switch jobs every 2 years, some every 4 years. If you combine that with the massive demand for jobs, and one more interesting piece of statistics or stats which was what are people looking for? Like, what are developers looking for when they look for a job? The first thing was salary. By far, the statistics were showing that Stack Overflow presented were indicating that most developers care about the most amount of money. That's number one. The second thing they care about is the tech. What do they get to work with? So if we think about that, almost all developers working professionally are working full time. They are in such high demand that they can literally switch. On average, they switch jobs every 2 years. The only thing that their priority is salary and then tech in general, and almost all of them they're not looking for a job, but they're open to hearing about opportunities. That's where all these recruiters are coming from. That's why they are spamming us developers with so much stuff, because if you think about those stats, what do these stats tell you? Well, if you are a recruiter, that tells you that you should just call everybody. Statistically, every single developer that you talk to is going to be a possible lead to getting to basically recruiting somebody, because that's how frequent it is. That's how often a developer changes their minds and switches jobs. Every 2 years, guys. On average, that's nothing. And that means, like, that's why the recruiters are so relentless, because they know that they can actually most likely get somebody to switch jobs with a very high chance. It's not very common for developers to stay in one place. So for the recruiters, that's what that means. You just relentlessly phone harass everybody, or email harass. For the employers, this is a nightmare, because this means that statistically they are going to have to get a new person every 2 years if they can't keep people around for longer than that. And that may not sound like a horrible thing, but it is a horrible thing, because it takes you, depending on who you're hiring, it's going to take you a long time. It could take a while for that person, the new hire, to get up to speed, to learn all the things. What's even worse is that if you are hiring them through a recruiter, it's going to take you a while to earn back the cost of just recruiting the person in the first place. Because recruiters, they are expensive. I think the average cost for recruiting a developer through a recruiter is their quarterly salary, roughly 3 months salary, or if it's 6 months salary or something like that. That's an enormous amount of money. And that's just for getting the person to the company. So from an employer's perspective, this is horrible. And that's why I argue there are so many companies out there who focus so much on office culture, trying to offer the best working environment. I mean, there are very few other professions, guys, where things are in this way, where literally you are a rock star. Yeah, I'm not kidding, guys. This is the lay of the land. The demand for skilled developers is so massive that you can, and that's what I'm taking away from this. If you think about it, let's look at it from our perspective. If on average you switch jobs every 2 years, and the highest requirement for you when you get a new job is a higher salary and interesting tech, in other words, what you want to work with, and you can switch every 2 years. And the statistics are that almost everybody has a job. Think about those numbers. That means that you are in so high demand that you could get fired today, most likely, and have a job tomorrow. And most likely you wouldn't have to compromise. It's an insane world. It's like I'm going to say it. I know it sounds a little bit corny, but to me that sounds like the golden age of programmers. That's what we have right here, right now. I don't know any other profession where you have such security and comfort in your position in the job market that you can switch jobs that frequently statistically and still have the requirement that you have a higher salary and you get to work with interesting tech. It's other professions that I know of, you switch jobs because the jobs dry up or the market, or you become redundant or something. Like, there's other reasons why people switch jobs frequently. But in the programming world, it seems to be that you switch jobs because you simply want to try something different out. And that is a luxury position to be in. God damn, it's a luxury position to be in. So to everybody out there, you hopefully, thanks to my little rant here, will go and look at the statistics and maybe you'll see something differently. But at the very least, it seems to be a very good time to be a developer. Have a great day.